Right now, the world is clearly passing through a kind of eye of the needle, right? That tends to happen every century or so, certainly in the modern era. We've seen this. We've seen this drama play out before. The last time that it played out, there was a whole lot of bloodshed. The dangers that the state poses as it fights for its life, not unlike an animal thrashing around in its death throes. In this video, I want to talk to you about the single biggest no-brainer that is out there right now that has to do with your money. If your stocks go up by, say, 10%, you feel like you've made a gain. But if your currency is depreciating by 15% a year, well, then you've lost ground, right? And so the big mistake the majority are making right now is that, of course, they're watching the stock market, they're watching Nvidia, they're watching their portfolio apparently make nominal gains when the currency itself is losing value. And so this is not something we've had to deal with. I mean, it's always been there in the background, right? This 2% inflation target. Why? Why exactly do we have to have 2% inflation, right? Nobody has a good answer for this. It's just a legalized, sanitized way for the government to rip you off and continue to tax you. It's another way to suck 2% out of the economy so that the state can continue to fund things that nobody really wants and, right, that keeps the state in power. We've never had to deal with it on the kind of level that we're going to see and deal with it now. U.S. currency is obviously exceedingly overvalued. It has to be. There's no way that the currency can be supported with all of these promises to pay, and where's that money going to come from? They're going to have to print it. I think U.S. GDP is up since the 21st century began something like 3x. Assets are up 30x, right? So roughly 10x divergence. The everything bubble that's been blown up by governments. In broad strokes, what this means is promises have been made that cannot be kept. The $35 trillion public debt bubble, it's the biggest ever. And here we're just talking about US debt, but other countries are in no better shape. And so the entire fiat monetary system is some $300 trillion in debt. And if you don't understand what that means, broadly speaking, without getting into mathematics, it means that people alive today who have created that problem, most of them older, are living at the expense of future generations. Well, at some point, the future generation, right, the rising generation, will absolutely repudiate this debt. And so the bubble today is not in tech stocks, it's not in real estate, it's not in any specific sector, it's in the currency itself. And the suckers at the poker table right now are bondholders, are people who think that this currency is going to continue to be worth what they said it was worth or what they pretended it was worth in the past. And that's absolutely impossible. That is a promise that cannot be kept. The currency in some ways must be the release valve. The one thing that governments cannot tolerate is a deflationary debt spiral. And so the deflationary thing works like this. When somebody defaults, remember, our currency is a debt-based currency. So in order to create money, you create debt. That's how money comes into creation, is you create more of a burden on the system itself. Obviously, some debt is very positive. You can use debt to do productive things. You can borrow a bunch of money and build a factory and make everybody productive, and then we have greater output, and then you pay back that debt and have money left over. But that's not what's happening now. Debt is being used to buy back shares. Debt is being used to finance consumption or using up wealth as you do that. But a deflationary debt spiral is specifically when a company defaults on its promises and money goes to money heaven, right? It actually disappears out of the system, right? When there's a default, there's actual monetary shrinkage. And if you have lots and lots of defaults, well, then you have lots and lots of money going to money heaven. I put these videos together to just try to make sense of the big picture, because in a lot of ways, if you just get the big picture right, it's not that guarantees that you'll be okay, but obviously it radically reduces the chances that you'll either end up dead from what's coming, or that you'll almost just as bad, right, that you'll end up broke and penniless and lose everything. as the colors on the map run, and as probably you see big states engage in actual open conflict with one another. The big danger right now is in the currency itself. This is the big no-brainer that's out there. Governments have made too many promises. They're going to have to print lots and lots of fiat currency units to pretend to sort of keep these promises. The idea that they're going to get inflation under control is, of course, a farce. The government needs inflation to run out of control. They need it because this is how they defray the cost, or sort of print their way out of debt, right? Is by using watered down dollars. Nominally, you're still getting paid whatever your Social Security promise was made to you, that you're going to be paid that amount, but of course bread is going to cost $55 a loaf, right? So that you're not going to be, nominally you got the same amount of dollars, but you can't buy stuff with it because the prices are so much higher. This is how the governments of the world, and they've done it before, will try to save themselves. But even this is going to be, obviously that's very chaotic. I mean, when you look at what that looks like, as people can no longer buy basic necessities with a currency that is so watered down in 5 or 10 or 15 years, there's going to be a lot of desperation and anger around that. The monetary madness of our time is that the currency will be the release valve. It already is showing up as the way that governments are going to essentially preserve their power through the coming chaos. And so you need to think this way, right? The best way to preserve purchasing power through a monetary, right, debasement like the one that we're already going through is, of course, to own real things. The best real thing throughout history to own is gold. If you're interested in getting set up with a gold account and a vaulting service offshore, the ones that I use, I have a link below here. It's very easy to protect yourself from this kind of currency debasement. Put some of your wealth offshore in a vault, in gold, in a vaulting service, right, with good security, and know that you have some portion of your net worth is going to be preserved through monetary debasement. Now, if you prefer to keep some gold on you, not a bad idea. Get a home safe, or you can stash it someplace and nobody knows about it. But owning real stuff like gold, like real estate. I'm here at my property in Central America. I bought this over 25 years ago for peanuts, for an amount of money that I wouldn't even miss if I lost it. Today, it's up over 100 times just in that time. You can see a little garden I got going behind me. My house is over here. The lake is down there. Fruit trees and avocado trees and things like this. And so this has been a great source of comfort for me, that I have a place to go where essentially, right, if times got ugly enough, right, it would be bad, but it wouldn't be unlivable bad. And my thinking is foreign real estate especially is another good category of stuff, real stuff that you can and should own. Very, very helpful to have some of your money in foreign real estate, especially if it produces, throws off income for you. But this is another asset that doesn't have to be reported to Uncle Sam, right? If you're a U.S. taxpayer, U.S. citizen, you don't have to report your foreign real estate holdings. This is the big picture that you can't lose sight of. We haven't really had to deal with massive monetary debasement in a very short period of time, like a race to the bottom kind of situation, which is really what the world is facing now. And governments are going to print their currencies, boy, until there's just no tomorrow. And historically, this also does result in a whole lot of very unhappy people, like pitchforks and torches, right, kind of anger in the streets. And so I expect we'll see some amount of that. Certainly if you no longer have enough food and money to pay for food to feed your family, well, it seems likely, right, that there's going to be some kind of unrest and anger that's going to cause real trouble in different parts of the world. There's no way to predict where that's going to be. But setting yourself up so that you have some food, so that you have your wealth in real things like gold, like real estate, like perhaps Bitcoin if you favor that, but creating the kind of plan that makes sense, looking at what I think is the biggest no-brainer. All roads point to more inflation. All roads point to the currency being the escape hatch for governments. The release valve will be the currencies. And so if you don't want to lose a good portion of your net worth, then you need to be positioning yourself to deal with massive monetary debasement. Now, getting the big picture right doesn't automatically mean that you get to come out smelling like a rose on the other side of the chaos. And for all the details of whether it's residencies, passports, where to live, and especially I created a group helping you find community abroad. My private membership is called the X-Plan Community. You can get details on a link below this video and find out about where and how to set yourself up in a thriving community in another part of the world. I favor fast-growing parts of Latin America. There's a lot of them right now, right? So if you have the means to invest in a fast-growing part of Latin America, you can do very well right now. There's ways to protect yourself from what's coming. And we favor Latin America very much. But for all the details that you would need to really make a rock-solid, sensible plan B that helps you and your family ride out tough times, if tough times are coming, and I believe they are, all the signs certainly indicate that they are, then you want to check out the X-Plan Community. You can find out all the details and join us at the link below this video. And for those of you who prefer a kind of personal touch, if you're interested in getting a private consulting, as I walk you through the various steps that I think are important for anybody who wants to really thrive and not just survive, but really come out on the other side on top, taking advantage of the opportunities that are no doubt going to be coming our way as the world sort of reshuffles itself, then I'm happy to provide that for you, but at a fraction of the cost that most of these other gurus online will charge you for personalized Plan B kind of help. Okay, you can also get information on that or book a free 15-minute no-obligation phone call. I'll be happy to talk to you about your situation and come up with solutions with you. Okay, thanks very much. That's enough out of me. I'll be back with more great stuff.